Hello all, Allie Lyke here. Just wanted to talk to you guys about my Vester Flanagan comments that I made last week. When I made that video, it was just me reacting to all the pain and anger that I felt from the broadcast of that case. I was scared, terrified, but also fearful of people. I think a lot of times people just assume like, oh, someone's having a bad day, like we're just gonna let that rock, like that's something they have to figure out. And take a second guess with that idea, because we have to start taking initiative and taking care of other people. Who's to say that, you know, Vester getting a helping hand from a former co-worker in Florida couldn't have prevented this? You know, you just never know what role you can play in someone's life by just saying, yo man, you want to talk about it. It's not even a black issue. This is something that affects millions of Americans. You know, depression is something very hard to deal with, and sometimes it can't just be solved with, hey man, you want to talk about it. Sometimes it has to come down with having an intervention with someone, or referring them to a psychiatrist, or referring them to a local community center where they have group therapy or something like that. But one thing that we do notice here, nobody did anything. Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. Like I said, leave a comment, do whatever. Let's just keep the conversation going. Peace. So, you got this situation with the guy in Virginia who killed two journalists live on the news. First of all, I want to say my condolences go out to the families affected by this terrible tragedy. As a journalist myself, that's one thing that I'm afraid of, you know, that my work will be judged negatively by someone else. And for whatever rhyme or reason, my life could be on the line just for speaking the truth about everything in the world. So that definitely is a fear of mine, especially now. But secondly, I'd like to bring light to the fact that nobody is talking about preventative care in this country and how employers do not provide adequate mental care for their employees. One thing that I heard being addressed with this situation is the issue of employers actually taking care of the employees themselves when it comes to an aggravated employee or one that was recently fired. That shit's crazy. Like, how are you just going to tell your employees they have to step up their game when all an employer has to do is provide the aggravated employee with some help? Like, there's no reason why all people who work full-time, even some who work part-time, I feel like if they qualify, should have access to some type of psychiatry, community mental health center, something, so that they can talk about the stresses going on in their lives as it relates to the workplace. I don't think people understand, especially executives. They don't necessarily understand that you got people that are like going through so much right now. You got people that are losing their families. You got people that are affected by everything going on in this world. And for 9 hours every day, they have to come in and make everyone in the room happy. However they have to do it, whatever their occupation is. At the end of it all, for every single job, you are required to be fake and make everyone happy for 9 hours at a time. Most of us is 14. But we ain't even gonna get there. Then on top of that, you gotta go home. On top of 9 hours, you have to be fake to all these people. Now you gotta go home and turn on the reel for your family for like 5 hours, 5 or 6 hours. And then you only got a couple to be yourself. Like, we need help. We need someone to talk to. Of course you need someone to talk to. You just spent 9 hours dealing with some fuckery. Then you gotta go home and deal with 5 hours of some mediated fuckery. And then after that, you only get 2 hours to actually process that fuckery. And then you go to bed and have to do the same shit the next day. Don't throw in, the last minute stuff. Like if your car broke down, you realize that you ain't got no money in your bank account. You ain't got no food because all your shit went bad in the fridge because your fridge broke down. Somebody done broke into your house. Your neighbor's son just died because he got shot. Then all of a sudden you hear that the school up the street's getting closed down in the next 3 months. What the hell are you supposed to do to take care of yourself? All this stuff going in your mind. All this stuff going in your soul. How are you supposed to take care of yourself? How are you supposed to tell people that they are responsible for this aggravated person? That makes no sense to me, America. That makes no sense to me, correspondent on MSNBC. That makes absolutely no type of sense. I would like to hear conversations revolving preventative care within this country. I'd like to hear more talks about opening mental health clinics especially in major cities. I live in Chicago, so that's a sensitive subject. Like there are so many sensitive subjects with everything going on right now. But basically, what I want to I want to start the conversation revolving mental health care and psychiatry in this country, and how we don't have the proper access to it. And I'm not even making this a black issue. This is like everybody. Black, white, Latino, whatever. It doesn't matter. Nobody has access. Nobody has adequate access to mental health care. And that's a fact. That's a fucking fact. And who knows? Like maybe some mediation with this man could have prevented 2 people getting killed. The guy one of the correspondents even said today, when you have an aggravated person get fired, it's 2 years. You have to wait. Like there's a minimum 2 years of aggravation afterwards. There's no 2-month period. Oh, I'm a little mad and then I'm gonna blow this shit off. No. You could potentially be risking your employees for 2 years. What? And the first thing he tells people to do? Call the police. No. Get this man some help. Call his family. Tell them, hey, he had an issue. Y'all might want to keep your eye on him. Here are some resources and they ain't even give him that. Here are some resources to some clinics. We think it will be in your best interest to help you get through this process. No. Not at one point in his career did somebody suggest that. Did an executive suggest that? Or an employer suggest that? And apparently this is something that's been going on in his career for the longest. Been through Florida, Virginia. That shit, like, come on, people. Get our people some help. Just get us some help. Please. That's all I'm asking. Give us some help.